This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
Welcome in, everybody, to the latest episode of Doc and Jock, featured on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. We have a special show for you. Another good one. My goodness, the Kevin McGonigle era has started. Has he lived up to expectations? At least in that first series. Oh, my goodness. Are you serious? The Tigers already choked away a game? Reliever issues? Batting average issues? Let's talk all about the Tigers, man. We get a chance to talk about the first four games. It was a good start and not the best against Arizona. We'll talk all about it. The NCAA tournament has progressed, and Michigan finds themselves in the Final Four. It would appear they're in a championship game on Saturday where they face Arizona. No, not literally, but most people believe that the winner of Michigan against Arizona will end up being the champion. What a wild game. The only reason why UConn won, guys, is because I put Duke in a bracket. That's all. That's the only reason why. Not because of luck, not because a young player decided to pass the ball instead of simply hold it. Nope. Only because Doc and Jock of the podcast decided that Duke was the winner, the best team, and that is what happened. But we'll talk about it. Are they the best team? Is Dusty May going to stamp a great season with Michigan with a title? We'll talk about it. And then we got to end the podcast. I don't know how long we're going to talk about it because it's so embarrassing and so on par with the Lions. Did they learn from past mistakes with Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson? Nope. Rod Wood is penny pinching again. He's like, I'm out the door. I got to get my penny pinching fix on. He's like, he probably had a conversation with team management. And they're like, Rod, how much money have you recouped in the last 3 years? Nothing. He's like, okay, got it. I know where I'm getting it from. Frank, we're like, what? Like, if you would have told me that decision was made, I would have been like, no, they're not doing that. They're not stupid. They're not going to invoke the fury of the fan base, the national media. Did anybody in that building think that they were going to get away with this for a player like Frank Ragnow? Oh, my God. Tuesday was hilarious with the reactions online. Adam Schefter, Pat McAfee, Alex Anzalone, Jason Kelsey. All the NFL world is like, damn, the Lions are cheaper than Doc and Jock. What the hell? So we'll talk all about it. But let's start with something positive. Tigers sit at 2-2 as we record this podcast. The McGonigle hype is real. He's got clutch power. He's got the ability to, he reminds a lot of people of like just these great contact hitters, guys that see the ball well, quick bat speed. It was cool to see his immediate impact with his first pitch seen in a Tigers uniform. And look, eventually, he's going to come down to earth. He's not going to bat 500 the whole year. But I will say this. I do think Kevin McGonigle is the real deal, and he's a nice addition to the club. Unfortunately, because there's a big hole in the lineup, and we all know who it is, Riley Green. And it's a problem, and you got potential pitching issues that have started to pop up. But in regards to Kevin McGonigle, the first four games have been nice to watch. It's something to pay attention to, like a little bit of buzz, a little bit of hype. And I know people were saying, what does this equate to? It does equate to when JV showed up in town and the hype with the first-year player. I also equated to when Steve Yzerman came into town when he was 18, and he was a young guy, 18, 19 years old, and he got to be the captain early in his career. I equate it to the hype of these young players that can come in and earn a spot. I was impressed with Kevin McGonigle in the first four games.
Yeah, look, I think him coming up and him living up to the hype has been nice to see. Again, we talked about it last week. Is everything going to be perfect? No, I don't think so. I think his first game, he came out like gangbusters. I think his first series, he looked like he was the real deal. Like he was going to win AL MVP votes and AL Rookie of the Year votes. Now, has he settled in a little bit in this second series? Yeah, I think so. And look, he's going to have a bit of an uphill challenge. As batters come in, there's more and more film. Pitchers get a little bit more taste of what they like, what they don't like, and they start to work around that. His big test is going to be, can he continue to take pitches? Can he continue to draw strikes? And can he continue to put a timely bat on a ball? All that being said, I think he's looked good in the field. I think he has performed exceptionally well. And it's one of those things where we were kind of asking for him last year. We were asking for this guy to come up. We were asking for him to be called up. It almost makes you wonder if they would have called him up, if he would have been one of the guys on the expanded rosters when they got into the playoffs, would he have been able to make a difference? Ifs and buts, candy and nuts. If my grandma had balls, she'd be my grandpa. But it makes you wonder, could that series against Seattle been a little bit different if he was in the lineup? Could he have given you a timely hit or here or there? Because he's given you timely hits thus far. He looks to be the real deal, and he's playing the part. And I think that's what's important. I think he's a guy that going into the year, there are a lot of expectations. There's a lot of hype around him, and he hasn't let us down. Now, different parts of this team in these first two series have kind of waffled a little bit and have us kind of saying, okay, what's going on? We thought the bullpen itself would be a monster strength of this team, and it has cost them a game. We thought JV coming in would be a nice steadying force, especially for the back end of the roster. He got rocked around a little bit his first game. So it becomes one of those things where McGonigle, I don't think is going to draw the ire of the fans. I think now fans are going to look a little bit at this pitching rotation, which we thought was going to be the ultimate strength of this team. JV taking the mound, I don't know if Detroit fans are as confident as they once were or before the season started. With the bullpen, I'm not sure if they're as confident in this bullpen as they were when the season started. And I guess that's kind of where I would turn it over to you. Are you as confident in JV taking the mound as you were when the season started? And do you still have the confidence in this bullpen to be one of the best in baseball? I'm not saying they're going to be the best, but I'm saying that they are going to be a top 5, top 7 bullpen in all of Major League Baseball, because that was kind of the hype built around this team. It was built around this pitching staff led by Tarek Skubal. And then it was this pitching this bullpen that you could turn it over to in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, and they would get outs for you. I don't know if fans are still reticent. The one thing I will tell you, it is baseball. And baseball is a crazy game where it is the law of averages. And after 162 games, water always finds its level. So I would tell fans not to panic on JV yet. I'm assuming he's going to probably be a 500 pitcher this year, ERA sub 4s. He's a back end of the rotation guy. And I'm assuming this bullpen won't be costing you games. Just let it breathe. Season is incredibly early. Where are you at with the pitching staff, the starting rotation, especially the back end with JV, and then the bullpen arms?
Yeah, obviously it was not great at all to see JV get rocked around. I mean, my goodness, Carol's like, can we have JV pitch every time? I'll make $1 million every year, millions and millions of dollars if I can see JV pitch. Look, his stuff was up a little bit. It's a first appearance. Now, if he does that again Sunday, all right. And I do think the biggest prediction I think people had was JV might not end up being on this starting rotation in the crunch time. And I would feel like, listen, back end of the rotation, no problem. I would hope that hopefully Mize can move up in the rotation and go Mize JV and JV be number 5 at best. But that's what it is. The dude's 43 years old. And also, two people did notice that his stuff last year was hittable. So, look, if he locates his stuff, he's got to work the art of pitching. These kind of games are going to happen. It's early in the year. I'm actually just concerned about, obviously, you can't be blowing a 5-1 lead early in the season. Like, it's an important situation that has to take place. Luckily, Scuba's on the mound on Wednesday. We'll know if he can stop the bleeding. You're on a 2-game losing streak. Looks like Arizona is doing their thing, taking advantage of some Tigers pitching and some mistakes. But here's the problem. The issue is that, okay, while you have McGonigle hitting, you have some guys doing their thing, there's some clear holes that you would like to see kind of filled. Because Riley Green's off to a slow start. Obviously, everyone was kind of joking around in the first game when he took a walk early. People were like, yeah, he took a walk. But his batting average is atrocious. And obviously, you got out to the nice hits. I like what I'm seeing, overall in terms of the offense. I think that, okay, it can be really nice. But in nitty-gritty time, I'm concerned about this closer dude. Like, this is kind of what he's been kind of known for, a little bit up and down, and you can't blow a 5-1 lead. You just can't do it. And I hate when that happens. When you have a lead, it's in hand. You go to a reliable pitcher, and Will Vest is not the best, and then Kinsley obviously wasn't the best as well. So, not a great series against Arizona, but I hope that the series at home against the Cardinals at home opening day will be much better. I feel like it's a good baseball team, right? Because I feel like, all right, there's offense. The defense looks okay. You know, obviously McGonigle had a couple errors. He's got to work through that at third base. But overall, when you look at the team, you're like, okay, I can see the pieces here. If you add to it, this is it's clear now. You need to add a starter. You need to add a bat. And if you can do that and you can get productivity from those arms and avoid the 35-year-old, relievers that are past their prime, I feel like, all right, 2-2 is not a bad start. You're doing okay. It's early in the season. And look, by and large, the real measure of a baseball squad is about 50 games. So overall, good week, but, obviously little eyebrow raise when you blow a lead in Arizona.
Yeah, and look, I think you said it right. This is a good baseball team. I don't think anybody should be panicked about a series in Arizona. There's going to be a part of the season, right? Especially the early part where things are going to get ironed out a little bit. I think when you get to the trade deadline, and that's really, I think, when the season is going to kick into full gear is when they get to the trade deadline, because I'm expecting them to make a move for another bat. You're now expecting them to make a move for possibly another starting arm. There is some conversation about possibly getting Jackson Joe back. I don't know if that's going to happen. When you have the surgery that he had, it usually takes you almost a year to get back. If you could add him and he could be a guy at the back end of your rotation who can spell you for innings and give you a game or two here or there, and you kind of mix that in with a guy like Verlander, I think the back end of your rotation looks a little bit dangerous then. But when the trade deadline gets here, and again, we got a long way to go before we get there, I expect them to be buyers. I think you're right. This is a very good baseball team. There are just a couple of things very early in the season that have to be ironed out. You need guys like Riley Green to kind of figure it out. Spencer Torkelson's another one. Both of these guys run hot and cold. So hopefully they get hot at the right time. As far as pitching goes, I was impressed by what I seen from Casey Mize. I was impressed with what I seen from Framber Valdez. I was impressed with what I seen from Tarek Skubal. I thought Jack Flaherty was what Jack Flaherty's going to be. So I think the starting rotation is kind of what we expect. And it's just, we need to be able to find the arms in the bullpen and trust them to not give up games. And so far, it's really and truly, it's been a bit of a one-off. I'm not worried about what we've got going on with the bullpen. I think it'll be just fine. I think Will Vest is a very good pitcher. I think Kyle Finnegan's a very good pitcher. Kenley Jansen has shown that he is a good pitcher. He's been a little up and down lately, but I think everything will be fine. So my stamp on the Tigers. I think we're a good team. I think this is going to be a team that is going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs. And I think this is just maybe a bit of a bad series early on. And like you said, true test, 50 games. We'll have a little bit more insight as to what this team really is when we get there.
Now, turning the page, when we look at the NCAA tournament, most people believed, all right, this is kind of how it would play out. Michigan would get to the Final Four, and they would dominate. I mean, it was embarrassing to kind of watch the Tennessee game. It was just non-competitive. It was unfortunate. And luckily, the UConn-Duke game lived up to the hype, and obviously you feel bad for Boozer, but hey, you just got to hold on to the ball. Like, Duke, simple. I mean, this is elementary basketball type stuff. All you had to do, and I think that, at least now, if I ever coach any sports and I'm coaching basketball, if there's 3 seconds left, I'm calling a timeout. I'm not letting no kid run around. I'm calling a timeout, and I'll be like, get the ball inbound and hold the ball. Like, those kind of things fundamentally should not take place. Like, just hold the ball. It's
just
simple.
hold the ball.
You win the game, you get fouled, you have a chance. Feel bad, but gosh, it just feels like that's the area that Michigan got lucky in. They won't have to face Duke. And I feel like the charge momentum that you get, guys, You have the best player in the nation, I think, remaining, and you have an opportunity. What's been impressive has been the scoring. The three-point shooting has been there, and you're getting consistent scoring. It's a team that's playing confident, and I think sitting here, you can hear it in my voice. I think we're talking about the next NCAA tournament champion. I think it might be Michigan, cuz. Am I right? Can you hear the excitement in my voice? I think Michigan's going to be in Indianapolis on Saturday and Monday, kind of maybe having the chance to cut the nets down. Yay.
you sound so sad right now.
I'm bummed,
Look, man, it is one of those things where I look, I'm surprised by this Michigan team. I thought their 3-point shooting was going to be a bit of their Achilles heel. It has not been. It's actually been a strength of this team. I think this team has grown into form and has gotten it. Look, they've been hot all year, but it seems like they found another level once the tournament started. It is unreal to watch these guys play. They almost hung 100 on Tennessee in an Elite 8 game. Like, you don't see that happen. And yes, are they fortunate that Duke got bounced? Absolutely. That being said, that UConn team's a pretty good team. And if we really go through and we reclassify all 4 of the teams that are playing in the Final Four, I would say Michigan is the best, but Arizona is a very close second, and they've got to get through Arizona. So they are going to have their hands full. Would you say it is safe to say that if they get by Arizona, or the winner of the Arizona-Michigan game, that's going to be your national champion? Because I feel like these are the 2 best teams. Yes, UConn is good, and UConn was able to complete a historic comeback and beat an exceptionally good Duke team. And Illinois is a team that can shoot your lights out. But I think Arizona and Michigan are just a cut above the rest. And I feel like this is such a big game. If they can get by Arizona, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy work, because I think UConn is dangerous, and I think Illinois is dangerous, especially if they get hot. I think whoever gets out of this game is going to be your national champion.
Yeah, no, it's a team that I really like how Dusty May has the offense. And here's what you like. It's nice and modern, right? Everybody's moving the basketball. Everybody's in the right spot. And what they do is, which is really great, is they limit bad shots. It's like everybody finds the open guy. The movement is unbelievable. And then there's the right guy in the corner to make the shot, and then you make it. And then the other thing, too, is your speed in transition is amazing, that you get this momentum that you're able to play your game. And they did that. They dictated that against Tennessee pretty fast. And also, too, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the thuggery that was going on, too. Like, the Tennessee guy gave a little shoulder, and Michigan was like, oh, really? And they were just clowning around. And if you saw, they clowned around on Tennessee, and then like a minute later, they just inbound the basketball and just let it sit there and let 20 seconds just roll off the clock, like in the most disrespectful manner. I like the swagger, to say the least. And I think that Dusty May has, and really, truly, that's the story of how you can find the next rising coach. You look at Florida Atlantic. When you take a team like that to the Final Four, every team is like, oh, we need that guy. And Dusty May, like I said, I know I joked about it, I think, last week, but I do think that he actually leveraged himself to be in the conversation, to be the Carolina coach, to be somebody that can take a real 1 or 2 jobs, like if Duke fires their guy after such an egregious thing. But it feels like Carolina could be like, oh, yeah, what is Michigan offering you? Just get back to us, get your offer, and then call us. And he'll be like, well, no, make me an offer. Like, no, you're not going to leverage us. Just when you have your contract offer, call us. That's the way you avoid using Carolina to leverage. You just say, whatever your number is, call us with your offer, and then prove it. So that way you're not raising the price. You're like, okay, Michigan offered you $14 million a year. We're going to offer you $17, and that's it. We're gonna give you more money, full control, 6-year deal, highest paid, all that you want. Come here. That's the level of what you got now in Dusty May, and he's going to leverage himself. Where I would stay at Michigan, because the Big Ten is quality now. You had so many teams in the tournament, and the competition level is just as good as the other conferences as well. And you might even have your first NCAA champion since 2000. So I'm very impressed with Michigan. It's a quality run for them. They went out and got they used the transfer portal in the way in which it's supposed to be. You cobble together a team. Now, it's different than how the Spartans do it with signing guys and developing them. but it's the new era, and it's not easy to do. Other teams are trying the same thing. It's not. You get credit for fitting the right puzzle pieces because everyone's trying to do it. So just because they did, they bought the team, I know I joke around with it, but I give them credit for doing it because it's not easy to do. It's not easy to get all this. But I was a little surprised, though, and I don't know who it is. I think people kind of have put the puzzle pieces together. Dog, you guys had a guy on the team's agent kind of shopping the player around who's on the Michigan team. Dusty May's like, damn, like could you at least wait to get your money?
You just wait. Yeah. Here's the thing.
Isn't that crazy?
I think the portal makes things weird, right? So on our rundown, the original question, right? And this is what we do with our show, right? We just kind of throw a couple ideas down. We talk briefly beforehand, and then the conversation goes where the conversation goes. If we ever get back to the original question, we get back to the original question. Both of us are notorious for going off task and just being very, very tangential. And I think it makes for a fun, interesting show, especially when we go down the wormhole and the rabbit hole and we get a little bit crazy with it. But the original question was, how attached to this team am I as a Michigan fan? And I think the portal makes it different. I think the portal makes it hard because it is awesome to watch this. And I've watched a ton of Michigan basketball this season. But it is hard to be invested in each one of these guys. It is hard to be invested in them as a whole, like I was when I was watching a guy like Jalen Rose and Chris Webber and Juwan Howard go and just go to the tournament and just kick ass, take names, get to a Final Four, end up losing a game to Duke. Like it is tough for me to be attached in the same manner as I was to those guys. Now, is this fun? And do I love this? And am I rooting for them? Yes. Am I watching more Michigan basketball than I have in years? Yes, absolutely. Do I find Dusty May to be an incredible coach? Yes. Are there guys on this team that I really do like? Yeah. Am I pulling for those guys? Absolutely. But when it comes to an emotional connection to these guys are all essentially mercenaries. They were all hired this year to go get a job done. And the best part is they're getting the job done. But I don't know how much attachment you have to a mercenary. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like it makes it hard. I feel like you as a Michigan State fan are in a bit of a different spot because you grow attached to your players. Your players are there, and generally they're there for the long haul. They're staying 2, 3. It's crazy to say the long haul is 4 years. These guys all basically came in last year. All these guys are brand new. And so you don't necessarily know them. It's not like it's one of those things when the season starts and you flip on the TV, you can just say, "Oh yeah, that's Yaxel Lindenberg." You know, that's who that is right there. You can look at him and that's not how that works. You got to kind of look at your Michigan program. And you're like, okay, so so he's that tall. He's got that number. Oh, okay, yeah, so that's him. That's Yaxel. Okay, good. You know, that's how it is. So I find it hard to have this emotional connection to this team. I think you are drawn to this team because it's the school you root for. And I find that to be a little bit weird because you're always pulling for the logo, but along the way, you generally kind of fall in love with players. You're kind of like, oh man, that's my guy. I love watching him play. I love watching this and that. And you grow a fondness to them. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't necessarily have that same fondness that I have for other teams or had for other teams that I watched kind of go through those trials and tribulations, stay together. Now, the way this team plays, they play like they've been playing together for 4 years, and I think it's incredible what Dusty May's done. But I think that's where you as a Michigan State fan, maybe it hurts a little bit more, or maybe it's a little bit more difficult for you because you are attached to these guys. You are that much more invested in these guys. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's you're right. In college, I am a little bit more invested in the name on the front. in pros, you do have a little bit of opportunity to root for guys because they're under contract, and typically, most players, besides Lions free agents, are on a team for a couple years. So it's a little bit easier to root for players, but I get what you're saying. The portal makes it's just a 1-year thing, and it makes it, I think you're absolutely right. What you're saying is, and it's so true, the portal makes it hard to root for players because it's just going to be a situation in which you're there while you're there, and you could hop around, and everybody's going to leverage themselves, and you have 150 opportunities to get more money. And it's real. It's a real topic that a Michigan player during the tournament was listening to his agent field offers somewhere else. And that's the nature of the game. And I get it. It's just weird. It's jarring. It's going to take time to adjust, but I'm getting used to it. It's like, okay, I get it. Players want their money, and there's going to be some guys, and which makes it fun. Which guys choose to stay? Which guys choose to, go for money, go for 4 teams in 4 years? Which guys go for 2, growth from like a smaller program? Who I feel the worst for, is teams like Detroit, Mercy, and Oakland. Having started in reporting covering college basketball, you saw Oakland, you saw their development. You're like, wow, they've kind of missed the tournament a couple times. They beat Kentucky, and then all their guys get paid. And Oakland is like, we can't pay $200K to any player. We just can't. And that's what sucks, is that Oakland is truly tearing down every year and cobbling it together. And Detroit Mercy, look, they were 1 game away, 1 6-minute stretch away from getting there, and then 2 days later, their best players in the portal. So it sucks because, in essence, the mid-majors are basically feeding grounds tape for teams looking for role players. And it sucks, but that's the way it is. It's just the way it is. If you're good, someone's going to find you, and now someone's going to pay you. And then when you get to the National Football League, the Lions will ask for it back. And that's how it goes. But Cuz, I'm going to ask you this. Yes or no, point blank, before we turn the page and talk about the Lions. Are the Wolverines going to win the NCAA title if it's against UConn or Illinois?
I believe so.
Yep, they are.
I think they are the best team
Yep.
of the 4 remaining,
Yep.
and I think they show you how they do it. They do it defensively. They do it offensively. Like I said, the one thing we thought that might be the Achilles heel for this team is their 3-point shooting, and they are getting 3-point contributions from random dudes off the bench. So you've got arguably the best starting 5, and then you've got guys that you're able to pull in and spell those guys and who can knock down big shots. So I think they get the job done.
I do as well. I think that they got a chance. They shoot well. They're like, oh my God, the football gods have opened up. The clouds have opened up, parted ways, sun shines through, and Duke is out. Duke would have been the team. But Arizona's still tight too. Here's
the thing. I wanted to see Duke. I wanted to be Michigan versus Duke. I wanted to relive that game that we had.
Wild game.
2 months ago.
Yeah.
So but it's what it is. And like, this bodes better for Michigan. So I'll take it.
Yep. All right. Turn the page, cuz. Can you believe it happened again? It's like, the saying goes, sometimes, a lion's going to wear the same stripes no matter what. Even if they think that they've changed, they still have the same stripes. I just can't believe the pettiness of the amount. Like, if the amount was like, okay, the threshold would be where you open your eyes and go, all right, they needed like $6 million back. Okay, I could say, okay, $6 million, that's an upper end starter. Rasheed Walker, that's $4 million for a year. Okay, fine. But he only had $3 million left, and you went for a portion of that. You know how cheap, really cheap that is? And it's so bad because what makes it bad, and I get it, it's well within their right. It equates to a player. But here's how bad it is. Your owner stood in front of 65,000 people in the world, and it's at Ford Field, and it's a celebration of Calvin Johnson, and the fans ripped and booed, and it was a culmination of, we're not happy. You also treated Calvin Johnson wrong. This is a ceremony for Calvin, and we know what you did to him. It was a public undressing of the owner, stating, look, the state of affairs are not good with how you treat your players. And also the state of the organization. And that was like a unleashing of, this is why we're mad about Matt Millen. This is why we're mad about Matt Patricia. So then you go, okay, is there no, like, if that happened to us, we'd be like, okay, Rod comes in, he's like, all right, we need this $1 million. Like, no, the first thing you and I'd be like, what? No. Like, the first thing out of my mouth would be, John Macker is going to rip us. He's going to write a horrible article. And everybody, he's like, okay, forget about Doc. He's irrelevant. Pat McAfee, Adam Schefter, Jay, like, how did they not know that the pushback would be loud? And in this era, with thousands more podcasts and thousands more people doing articles, are you kidding me? I think you and I would have figured it out, been like, no, like the PR the negative PR, you pay it. Pay the $1 million not to have it. You got McAfee calling the Lions cheap. People are doing graphics of the Lions with their hands out. It was so bad, and it's such a, and what it was too, outside of being called cheap, I don't think the Lions even care about that. What's bad is you just firmly planted in everyone's mind, oh, this is kind of what they did when they were running like the SOL Lions. This is what it was like when it was the horrible era, and we thought we had turned the page by not doing that. But the last 2 weeks, you ghost Taylor Decker, you embarrass. He's actually like, media, come to my house. I got some crackers and nuts, and we'll have some. Come on over. And he's like, let me tell you a story. I got something to talk about. He's like, Dan don't want to talk. They're like, damn, like, like that to have a player invite the media to the personal establishment where they live to smash the organization. That's a certain level of embarrassment that he felt, and he felt the need to get back at the organization. So what the Lions have done in PR has been a lot of noise and very, very tacky. It's just tacky. You asked for $1 million from a guy that played with a broken throat. Come on, dude. Seriously? Eat the $1 million. Eat the $3 million. Come on, dude. You know, the good favor that you would have got, I think partly was part of the reason why some of these old guys, you know, the tea leaves was on the wall for Graham Glasgow, a Taylor Decker, an Alex Anzalone, and a Meek Robertson. These guys knew, like, damn, you know, the Lions have a number for me, and I probably could get a lot more somewhere else. So, in essence, the Lions have set themselves up to be bargain basement free agent hunters, and it sucks. So, I was firmly disappointed. I think that Rod Wood should stop talking to the media, because I just think that they should have just made the decision and not address it. Seriously, I think the blowback would have been there, but it wouldn't have been as loud if this guy wasn't giving an hour interview and then talking about it again with the reporters. It just been like, okay, yeah, it comes out, it's a one-day story, and we don't hear quotes from Rod Wood saying it's our money. No, you don't do that. How bad a look of this is for the Lions. And really, again, cuz, is this going backwards in regards to the culture?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. They look like a two-bit organization. All of this has been so poorly done. And you don't ask for parts of monies back from a dude who sacrificed everything for you. Like, this is a guy who played on a bum knee, on a bad toe, on a busted neck. Like, you just don't do that. And it was pennies on the dollar if we're really talking about it. And then you go to the Taylor Decker situation, and it's just bad form, man. It's just bad form. You just look, like you said, you look tacky. This is so SOL. It's ridiculous. All that good favor that you have curried over the last 4 years, 5 years, it all gets washed away. And then when you have this clown puppet, Rod Wood, come out and talk in long form, and then he comes back and he doubles down on what he said, it just makes you look like a cheap organization. It makes you look small potatoes. You know, you don't function, and this is the one complaint that we've always had. You don't function like a real organization. Would New England ever do this? I don't think so. Has Philly done this recently? I don't think so. You know, you don't do these things. Has Kansas City done this? No. Like, you're trying to reestablish your culture. You're trying to reestablish and clean up your image, and you essentially wash it all away with this. And then when you say things like, well, the great Barry Sanders paid back his, and the great Calvin Johnson paid back his, and yeah, look at what that did to the relationship that you had. Like, have you learned nothing? Like, you could say, okay, Barry Sanders, all right, fool me once, my bad. You go and you double down, you do it to Calvin Johnson, and you look at how that tore him away from the organization, and you look at all of the bad PR and all of the bad press that caused, and the way that you were looked at. And like, so much so that when Sheila went to the field to do an announcement one day, the fans unmercifully booed her. And then it took you going back and retconning and trying to fix that situation and working Calvin Johnson back into the fold. To me, it's a front office and it's an administration that just has not learned their lesson. It is an organization that has showed you time and time again they are more concerned about the very bottom line and the final penny than the relationship with the player, the relationship with the fan, and their image, and what that could mean for the city. It is a team that has gotten fat and sassy over the last 4 and 5 years. And this is where the downfall comes in, because once you start believing your own hype, once you start reading your own press clippings, once you start acting like you're above it all, that's when your legs get cut out from underneath you. And look, I know the money situation. I know this falls more in line with a Rod Wood type of thing. But overall, this offseason has been absolutely a train wreck and absolutely abysmal. And whether it be Rod Wood, whether it be Brad Holmes ghosting a guy like Taylor Decker, whether it be Brad Holmes involved in the decision-making for getting Frank Ragnow to return some of his money, or whether it be Brad Holmes in just his lack of effort and energy during free agency because he's so focused on signing his own guys. I feel like this offseason has set this team up so poorly for this upcoming season. And I feel like this season is going to be a bit of a crossroads for this team, because I don't know how they perform to the expectations that Lions fans have. Last year was bad. Last year was not good. All right. And it felt like it was a season that was kind of trying to come off the rails. And I feel like Dan Campbell and, for the most part, a guy like Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the leadership in the room, for the most part, kept it on track and got it to the finish line. And did they finish where they wanted to finish? No. But this upcoming season, it really feels like the administration, it feels like Brad Holmes, it feels like everybody is doubling down on this FU stance. And it really feels like if they don't start off well, this season is going to end in a complete train wreck. And I'll be honest with you, I almost kind of want to see it. I almost want to see this be an absolute horrible season. Here's the deal. I love Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell's great. I love Dan Campbell the moment he was introduced. Brad Holmes, I was kind of like, all right, whatever, we'll see. Dan Campbell, I've always loved. To me, it feels like the people at the very, very, very top, whether it be Sheila Ford Hamp, whether it be a guy like Rod Wood, whether it be a guy like Brad Holmes, it really feels like they are putting a guy like Dan Campbell and they're putting that locker room in a corner and they're saying, fight your way out. Make sure this gets done appropriately otherwise. And I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see it fall flat on its face. I told you last week, I think it was last week, I'm tired of Brad Holmes. I'm tired of Rod Wood. I'm tired of the administration for the Detroit Lions. Again, I'm tired of my football team being a two-bit, small potatoes, bullshit organization that goes around and acts like they're deserved some of this money that comes back off these signing bonuses. These dudes go out there and they're essentially in a car crash 87 times a game. Their brains are scrambled. These dudes are dumber when they leave the sport than they are when they come in. Their bodies are more mangled when they leave the sport than when they ever came in. And they're doing it for your crest. And the least you can do is allow these guys to keep $1 million of their $3 million signing bonus that they had left. To me, it's complete and utter bullshit. And I'm embarrassed. And I feel like this organization is a bit of a disgrace. And I feel like when you look at this offseason has been embarrassing. This offseason has been a disgrace. And I feel like if you're not looking at Brad Holmes, you need to take your Lions tinted glasses off, because I feel like he is currently part of the problem. Rod Wood, I don't ever need to hear you talk again. How would you describe this offseason? Because as you can tell, I'm pretty upset with it. And I've taken aim at Brad Holmes. I've taken aim at Rod Wood. I've even put Sheila Fort Hamp in my crosshairs. I think the people up at the very tippy top of this organization are doing this team nothing but disservices.
Yeah.
How would you describe what's been done thus far?
Yeah, it makes you believe that they care more about their money than they do the players. And the players are the lifeblood of the organization. And that's kind of why the free agents, it's simple. This thing is going to end. Frank Ragnow will be the last player they do this to. You know why? If you're an agent worth a damn, you just tell your client, listen, sign a contract where a signing bonus is a full signing bonus. They can't ask for it back. A full signing bonus. And I think that's probably where Carlton Davis had an issue as well. Supposedly, he had a contract issue dispute with the Lions, and I'm sure part of it was the guarantees and the language of the guarantees, whereas the Patriots are like, what are the Lions doing? Oh, yeah, they're just putting that in there so if you get hurt or leave, they get some money back. And other teams are like, yeah, we won't do that. And also the NFLPA, get off your ass and figure out a way to eliminate this.
Do something.
Yeah, get off your ass and eliminate this practice, which is, hey, a signing bonus means clearly you put your name to a paper to play with the organization and you get a signing bonus of $3 million. It goes to your bank and it never comes out. So there's two guarantees. There's the signing bonus and the full amount. Okay, so John signs for $100 million, $4 million signing bonus, 50 guaranteed. So no matter what, you put those two numbers together, John gets $54 million, and the team can cut you and let you loose for not paying you $46. And everybody understands it. To have this in a contract, I wouldn't sign it, and I think players should wisen up to that and say, look, I want a signing bonus. I want the full amount. If I decide to play pickleball with my friends and I hurt my ankle and I'm done, I get that money. So, man, the Lions, Rod Wood going out with a bang and then just doing a tell-all, telling everybody, hey, everybody, we got our hands in our pockets and we're pulling out our pockets and nothing's in there anymore, But again, to clarify and to keep it in perspective, the Lions have the money, okay? The Lions have money, but they earmarked it for Gibbs, Laporta, Campbell, and Branch. It's there for them. And so he said, well, Rod Wood said to the paper, well, if we would have paid one of those high-end guys, who do you want to let go of? Laporta, no problem. Find another tight end. Branch, stuff happens in that realm. Move on from those two guys, and you keep, I'm sorry, we earmarked 4 contracts, and we're just going to do one, and that's Jack Campbell. He gets $20 million of it, fine. Gibbs, I'm sorry, you're getting the business. That's how you do it. So that's the problem, is that the Lions don't explain it right. They could have been in the market for high-end guys, but they chose to earmark all the monies to restructure Goff and to give it to Gibbs, Campbell, and probably Laporta. But you're starting to see whispers that maybe Laporta might be a guy, if you can move up, might be a guy you can avoid paying. So it might happen, but I would do the same thing with Gibbs. You don't have to pay him. But that's how the Lions operate. It's embarrassing. It's a step backwards. And you guess what? When a tiger lion shows you their stripes, they can't erase it with PR. It's real. That's what they are. The Lions are operating in this manner. But I hope that, the next president stands in front of the media, because I'm just going to ask him, hey, are you going to keep this practice going? Like, are you going to just put in all these provisions in a contract so that you can get signing bonus money back if something happens? Like, come on, dude. It's wrong. And to do it to Frank Ragnow, to do it to guys in the trenches, those are the guys that work the hardest. Those are the guys that, like, okay, it's not a diva receiver that just gets to run and block and gets to all the limelight. These are the grunts. Like, literally, you're taking, like, the infrastructure of your guys, and they're like, see you later, throw you out like garbage. And, oh, yeah, by the way, cut us a check, partner. So it's embarrassing. It's wrong. And I think that the blowback was appropriate. And I think that Rod Wood maybe even underestimated what people would say about the team decision. Look, we would never do that here at Doc and Jock. We would never do that. Ever. And everdom. If we ran an organization that big, we would be like, all right, it's just $1 million. Fine, we'll just take it from somebody else. We'll figure out another way. You know what we'll do? Let's raise the prices on these people one more time. All right, we're not going to raise the prices. We'll keep it quiet. We'll just raise the prices in Section 349. We'll get that $1 million back. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. You know what? The jerseys go from 349 to 389. Who's going to notice? Oh, my goodness. Make sure you follow Adam on X at AdamRSTROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Everybody, thank you for your support in the month of March. It's great. Here we are in April. It's been a good time, and thanks everybody for the opportunity to broadcast and be part of the Detroit sports landscape. Let's tune in next week for the next episode of Doc and Jock, which is featured on the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
You fucking podcasters. I said don't let them in here.